Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to Dozo Sumo. I'm your host, Sam. If you are one of the 9 viewers, probably less than that since we probably count as a couple views. So if you're one of the 6 viewers who watched our first episode, welcome to the second episode. Like I said, I am Sam. I'm here again with Pat.
I'm I am Pat. That is true. True story.
Off to a great start here. Very charismatic start, just like we wanted.
Always.
Yeah, so Banzuke came out earlier this week. We want to talk about, we're not going to go through every rank here, but really we're just going to talk about a few select fighters that we're really excited about. And then we've got a little mini fantasy game, if you want to call it that, we're gonna try out this Basho. Um, but yeah, before we get into it, as we did on the first episode, we'll do on this one. We'll talk about what we want to drink. So, Pat, over to you.
Yes. So today, well, I was inspired by your sake of the last podcast, and it made me want my own sake. So I went out and picked up a nice fancy bottle here.
Just very fancy
This
bottle.
is a sake from Fukushima, which is cool. Fukushima actually is a really big producer of sake. They make tons of sake there, and obviously they've been through a lot of ups and downs over the last amount of time since the disaster happened.
Did the disaster affect the sake production that you
Yeah,
know?
big. It did big time, and it also affected even more than the production. It also affected the perception of the area. So people stopped buying stuff from there for a really long time, and so now it's kind of back into a much better place. But I've always been supporters of the region. I try to always buy sake from there and things from there. So this one, we're gonna give it a try and see how it is. This is also my fancy sake glass that my wife got me for my birthday. They're very fancy. So that's what I'm drinking here today. How about you?
What I have is a bottle of Hatozaki small batch whiskey from
Oh,
Akashi, Japan,
oh my
which,
God.
if you recall where that is, Pat, I don't know if you're
Akachi.
Akashi.
Akashi. No, I don't.
So when we cycled this summer,
Mm.
Awaji, when we took at the end of Awaji Island, when we took the ferry to cross to Kobe,
Mm.
Akashi is west. So, or I'm going the wrong way here. So Akashi is west. And we
Yeah,
went
no,
east to
you're
Kobe.
good.
So Akashi is just on the other side of Awaji Island. So we were really close to it. So I thought that was
Ah,
pretty cool.
cool.
Yeah. So Hatozaki, small batch. We'll give this a go here. I'm a big
Epic.
lover of whiskey. I love Scotch normally. My go-to is the peatier the better. And I found some many good Japanese whiskeys. So,
Incredible.
oh yeah, that's good. Yeah,
Kampai
bye.
indeed. Ooh. Mm. Oh, interesting. This is really nice. It has almost like a carbonation
Mm-hmm.
element to it. It's not carbonated, but it kind of has that feeling to it. Um, it's pretty full bodied and fruity, I would say. It's really nice though.
Nice. Yeah, this is really nice kind of first taste right off the bat. Mm. Like really smooth on the tongue, almost like caramelly, but not quite.
You said caramelly?
Yeah, malt. That's probably what I'm looking for. Malt. Like
Okay, go ahead.
you can kind of really taste the malt with the caramel flavors there. So it was a
Mm.
good choice on my part. I almost picked my little onsen milk bottle. Get a little taste of the Japanese onsen. I have to hold it so close to the camera you can't even read the Japanese characters on it. Alrighty, so okay, now that we've got our drinks, we're ready to discuss the Banzuke. So right off the
Yeah,
bat,
let's do it.
um, kind of maybe coming back. Some people are talking about like he is going to come back and fight the only active Yokozuna right now, Teruno
Mm.
Fuji.
The big
Um,
one.
yeah. So you were saying though that you may have been reading that you don't think he is.
Well, I did some of my own research, and my no, I didn't really, but um, my research pointed to it's still up in the air. The things that I read was reading
Mhm.
that was saying that he might be taking another Basho off in order to
Mhm.
come back in January full force. But he also has been out practicing. Like he's been doing like he fought a bunch of practice bouts recently and like won a lot of them. And so you never know. You also, I mean, we talked this a little about in the last one, but you also sometimes see people come in and he'll like fight for maybe 3 or 4 matches and then
And call
sit
it.
out. So
Yeah.
that's also a possibility.
Yeah. So speaking of, he's the only active Yokozuna. Pat, do you know where the term Yokozuna comes from, or any of the history behind it?
I have actually no idea where the word itself comes from. I mean, I assume it's extremely deeply rooted in the history of Suno, but I don't know the meaning of the word now.
Yeah. So I'll kind of go through this quick.
Tell us a
But
tale.
you know what they wear, right? So the all the Rikishi, they come out and they're wearing their nice big silk mawashi, big front, um, with either sponsors or like mythical beasts, some sort of scene on it, right?
Yeah.
What do Yokozuna wear? Right, they got the big white rope
Yep.
with the Shinto lightning bolts hanging off. So Yokozuna Suna literally means rope. So the
Mhm.
and it refers to the rope they wear around their waist. So it's also used to mark off other sacred areas in Shinto. So you'll see it in shrines, you'll see it in homes, things like that. So it serves to purify whatever is within it. So the Yokozuna is they are the peak, the most pure form of sumo. So it kind of makes sense coming from that Shinto aspect of it, that what's behind the rope is pure sumo. Um, so kind of again, one of the reasons I like sumo is it has such mythical beginnings. There are two competing legends between where it comes from. So one, a wrestler named Hajikami tied the Shiminawa, so that white rope around his waist, and dared anyone to
Yeah.
touch it, and that supposedly was what created sumo. Another one in the
I like
semi,
that one.
yeah, another one, another wrestler, Akashi Shiganosuke, tied it around his waist as a sign of respect when visiting the emperor. So, again, centuries old legends, and modern
Right.
scholars aren't even sure if either one of those guys actually ever really existed. So
Okay,
this
right.
kind of the sport was literally birthed out of myth and folklore. So
Yeah.
over the centuries, Yokozuna has meant different things. At one time, it just meant that that person had actually fought in front of the emperor, since the emperor would occasionally go to tournaments. Um,
Interesting.
so anyone who fought that, or an ozeki who fought in front of the emperor, would have that, and so it'd almost be just like an asterisk next to their name. So, there's 73. There've been 73 Yokozuna in time, and some of them wouldn't be Yokozuna by modern standards, but they're still on the list. Or other times
Hmm.
when during the 19th century, and there are competing clans who would be sponsors of wrestlers, they would then promote who they want up to be Yokozuna. So there was a lot of politics. I mean, I won't say like, oh, how politics are today, but before then, way more politics
Mhm.
involved between rival clans and Yokozuna and wrestlers who were, it was a status symbol to sponsor wrestlers. So yeah, that's where the phrase Yokozuna comes from and kind of the history behind it. Now, since the 50s, though, is when the JSA, Japan Sumo Association, have been the ones to pick Yokozuna. So there you go.
Interesting.
Alrighty.
Yeah. And I think I have a question for you, and maybe you know the answer to this one. I think the viewers would be interested to know too. Um, Obviously, we've been talking about we have a current Yokozuna. He's potentially on his way out
Mhm.
due to injury or whatever, and other reasons. And then we have, people like Takakeisho who are in line to maybe take it.
Mhm.
Can there be more than one Yokozuna at a time?
Yes, and I think the most at once was four.
Really?
Yeah.
So Takakeisho can be promoted. He can become Yokozuna, and then we can have two Yokozunas at once. Not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because I thought there could only be one. I'm gonna be honest.
No, yeah, you can definitely have more than one. So who knows if Teruno Fuji is shaky this tournament or falls out and Takakeisho takes it again, and ideally in better style than he won the last Basho, could be Yokozuna. So that'd be pretty cool to have two Yokozuna fighting. And then according to my math last time, Hoshoyu will be Yokozuna.
Right?
Just don't know when.
Yeah, definitely in time for sure. Yeah.
Alrighty, so speaking of Hoshoyu, what we're going to start for this one, and what I was thinking was we try it for this boss show, and then over the next year, we could kind of do like a year-long pick 'em. So where we're going to pick, you want to do 3 or 4 guys that kind of we pick are going to be like, hey, this boss show, I think they're going to do well.
I think three. I think three is a good
Okay,
number.
we'll start at 3. So then how about we say one person in the Sanyaku ranks, so one of the,
Uh-huh.
but no Yokozuna, one
Yeah,
ranked M1 to M7 and the one M8 to M15. And
I like
then
that. Yeah.
the
All right.
scoring I was thinking was 1 point if they go Kachikoshi, 2 points if
Mm.
they get 11 or more wins, and then +5 if they win the Basho. So, your one guy could save you that Basho.
Mm.
All right. I will let you go first.
Oh my God, the pressure. So okay, given what I've just learned, I mean, if I'm going first, I think I got to take Takakeisho. He's been a little inconsistent here and there, but it's kind of like I said in the last one. It's like when he's on, man, and
Mhm.
he's just like he has a consistent style. He's like a hard pusher thruster. That's his thing. He comes out, but he comes out when he's not injured and when he's feeling well. He comes out with so much energy that it's just like to me, like that's what displays like a Yokozuna when you see someone that's just like so intimidating and it's so hard to counter. So for
Yeah,
me, and my top rank, I'll take Takakeisho for sure.
it's a good choice. If I wasn't going with this guy, I probably would have taken him. You can see by the towel here, I'm going to go Hoshoyu. He's just one of my.
Doink doink.
Yep. So that's who I'm going to roll with here. Okay.
Smart.
M1 to M7. Who you picking?
M1 to M7. Well, we talked about this a little bit before we started recording, but for me, I sumo is an interesting sport because there are people that I love and there are people that I know, will win. So
Mhm.
I'm always torn between my heart and the cold, hard numbers of reality.
Mhm.
But if we're going 1 through 7, I got to go with my heart and I got to take my personal favorite wrestler who is currently ranked number 1,
Mhm.
actually, Ura.
Yeah.
Ura is a fan favorite. If you follow sumo at all, people love him. He always does something crazy. He's one of the few sumo wrestlers out there that doesn't have a consistent style. So you kind of never know what you're going to get when you enter into the ring. And what that means is sometimes you see magic and sometimes it's a complete disaster because he's inconsistent because he is inconsistent as a wrestler.
Mhm.
But we've seen him do really well in the last basho or two. He's kind of like, I think, in a bit of a hot streak. He does have some injuries to contend with. He's a little bit older. He's been doing it for a while, so he's a little inconsistent in that way too. But I think that just from a pure excitement standpoint, he has the potential to kind of like do something exciting in
Yeah.
this round.
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, I'm a big fan of Ura as well. You didn't wave the towel, but that's okay.
I got wait. Let me just
There,
pull this out right
ups,
here.
upside down.
I think we've
Cut
had
that,
that
cut
problem
that.
before. We'll cut it.
Yeah,
So here, yeah, of course,
there
I
we
got the
go.
Urotao. Yeah,
Yeah, so yeah,
so
he's
that's
M1, tied for his highest ranking. Last time he went M1, he went 4-11, so hopefully he does better than last time. It it will be tough though because when you're M1, they fight all the Sanyaku ranks, so he's gonna have to fight everyone above him. Whereas some of the
yeah,
lower ranks, you're not guaranteed to do that, but M1 he will. So good
yeah.
choice. My choice. I'm gonna pick one of the one of the young bloods, one of the stars last couple bashos, Gonayama. He's been doing really well.
Ooh,
So he was consistent last basho and moving up to M4. I think he's going to stay consistent, get the Kachikoshi, and yeah, keep it going. He's a strong fighter. He has shown that even though he's young, he hasn't been easily rattled. He can bounce back when if his opponent pulls a second move or it goes past like the initial push or twist. He has shown consistency to fight through that and try multiple different moves to win. So looking forward to seeing him go. And then
a controversial pick, and I respect it.
I don't really see how it's controversial, but okay.
It's not controversial at all, but it's a good pick. I like that one.
All right. Next, M8 to M17. Normally be M15, but we have so many incoming Juryo guys, 6 Juryo guys joining this Basho. So it's going all the way down to M17 because we're also missing some of the Sanyaku ranks. So got to make up those numbers somehow.
That is true.
I have a guess of who you're going to go with, but I'll let you go.
Well, I think there's an obvious choice, and I'll tell you what, I'm debating it because Atami Fuji is the obvious choice here. He's speaking of young bloods. He's the new guy on the new kid on the block. Had an incredible run last Basho. But it's funny. You start looking at this list. I have it here in front of me, and looking at it, it's just like there's so many. You got Roga is an interesting addition to the new thing. He's been doing really well in Juryo. He's here now. I mean, but you also have a lot of people who have proven themselves for so long, and I'm always been a big fan of Koto Eko. There's so many names here, but I would be a fool if I didn't go for Atami Fuji. So I got to go for the new guy, new spirit, new energy, new excitement. I think he's gonna do really well if he can avoid injury, and I gotta take it.
Yeah, you're right. It's tough call. I'm kind of I'm torn between a few. Excuse me, I was going to say 3 and few, and I mixed it up. Between a through,
Hey,
I will just go with that. I'm torn between a through. So that's.
I knew what you meant somehow.
Yeah. So Ichi Yamamoto won the Juryo last time, but then you've got Tamawashi down there, 2-13. Will he bounce back, feasting on all these young Juryo fighters?
Tamawashi, by the way, side note, he just recently won the award for not award, but basically he's like fought the most fights of any sumo wrestler currently in existence. Some outrageous, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I was reading about it the other day. Some outrageous number of he set like 4 records, like most fights, most wins. It was something crazy because he's been doing it for so long. So you can't count him out, even though he's an older guy.
Yeah, no, definitely. He's an Iron Man of the sport. You know what? I'm gonna go with Endo. That's who I'm gonna take.
Ooh,
Going with Endo. Yeah, he's been doing
spicy.
Doing well. So I have faith that he's gonna do well. So
Endo has had he can come back out of nowhere like that. So no, I think that's actually a really smart choice.
Yeah, he's done well in these ranks before. When he was M6 and M9, he did went 9-6 each, and then last 2 Bashos went 10-6 and then 9-6. So, or 10-5 is then 9-6. Excuse me. So I think he's a pretty solid choice to get the Kachikoshi. So we'll see.
All right, I've just now decided we're doing a wild card. Okay. We said 3. We're gonna go for 4. Wild card. Any wrestler. Go for it. Open season. Anyone you want. Your wild card pick. I'll let you go first since I sprung this upon you.
Okay, I wasn't expecting it.
Compose yourself.
Okay. All right, I'll go with Wakamoto Haru. That's what I'm gonna go with. He's another strong Sekiwaki, and I think I just like I mean, it's a bit of an emotional pick as well because I like him. And Wakan Sakakage, which we'll discuss briefly later. But yeah, I'll go with Wakamoto Haru.
Fun fact: we also, when me and Sam went to sumo in May of this year, we witnessed Wakamoto Haru sign the autograph of a very young fan, and it was a a beautifully touching moment. In fact, we could even roll the video quickly for the YouTube viewers because I have the video, and it was something about watching him do that was a really special moment to get to be there in Japan. That was really cool. For me, I gotta go with my boy. I feel like I say that about most
I know.
wrestlers.
Love most
Um,
people.
but my boy, my wild card boy, Midori Fuji. You know, he's a powerhouse. Some of the most exciting bouts of recent time memory for me is with him, watching him fight dudes that are literally twice his size and a foot and a half taller than him and
Mhm.
beat them. And I just love that energy, and I love the kind of like, you call it an underdog, but it's not even really an underdog because he's just a powerhouse. But someone that's not a traditional sumo wrestler. He's not super large. He's a little bit leaner
Yeah.
comparatively, but he's always been one of my favorites. He's in number 5 right now. He had a good, decent bout Basho last time.
Yeah, he's a fan favorite.
So
It's a solid choice.
I'm gonna go ahead and take that.
Yeah, that's a good choice. Yeah, usually bounces around. He never has tournaments where he does like absolutely horrible. But
Right.
he's had a few very good tournaments, so it's a good choice. We'll see how he does. He's ranked pretty high.
Mm.
Um, all right. So do you think? Oh, we already discussed Tony Fuji's fall.
Just cut that. Cut that. Cut
Cut
that.
that,
Cut
cut
that.
that, cut that. So pick Wakamoto Haru. Wakataka Kage has dropped down to Makushita. Um,
Is he fighting again?
I don't know. So I would assume he
That's
wasn't
the
because
question.
he when he underwent surgery, they said he'd be out for a year, and that was in April, and it's only 7 months later. But
Mm,
everyone's talking. I mean, maybe it's just because he's dropped down. I kind of hope
mm.
he isn't. I want him to fully recover so he can bounce back. And
So briefly, like let's talk for just a quick second here about like how it works. So it's a weird sport because like you Wakataka Kage is a fan favorite. He's a legend. Everyone like loves him. Well, right up there with like Ura in terms of fan favorites, I would say. But when you get injured like that, you're not like kicked out of the sport, but you basically like lose a lot of your levels there. So like how does it work in terms of like okay, he was obviously top division and now he's coming back, or when he comes back, he's at a lower rank. So like I think it'd be interesting to talk about that briefly.
yeah, that's you're right, Pat. So it is an interesting because depending on where you rank at, you're even though you're not fighting because you're out with an injury, you will count as going well for ranking purposes. You'll count as going 0 and 15 in that tournament. So some guys, if they're low Megashira, they'll drop down to Jurio. If you're higher, you have one or two tournaments essentially to kind of bounce back to come back and be a lower Megashira rank. But otherwise, it's just a free fall. So, but the only people who wouldn't would be a Yokozuna. So
Right.
an example missing tournaments and bouncing back. I mentioned Asano last time. He missed 6 tournaments due to breaking COVID protocol. He came back and started in Sandanme, so very low, technically amateur, not being paid. Won all the tournaments and bounced back up through Sandanme, through Makushita, Jurio, and now back up at the top. So um,
Which is also just kind of ridiculous when you think about it, to have this guy that's like I mean, COVID, and like COVID commentary aside, like this guy that was like super powerful and like not injured, competing in an extremely low rank, that he's like obviously going to just blast through it. So it's like that's where I find the sport bizarre too, because it becomes this whole like, well, he's doing that because he has to do that, but
mhm.
even though he's like clearly going to dominate it.
Yeah, so should be interesting. Really looking forward to this Basho. Should be fun.
Yeah.
Like we said, if Torino Fuji falls out again, it could open it up to a Takakeisho Yokozuna run. Um,
I personally want to see it. I want to see it. I think he deserves it, even though based off what I said last time was that he maybe didn't deserve it. I'm changing my mind, and I think he deserves it. He's a badass.
yeah,
He's got the presence. He's got the Yokozuna presence to him,
yeah,
and I want to see it.
good. Alrighty. That's really all I wanted to. All the things I had was our little fantasy pick. See how that goes. Talk about do we think
Yeah.
Terunofuji will bounce back? Covered that. Um, and we spoke a bit about Ura. Do you think he's gonna step up? Do you think this is a tournament where he goes up in the Sanyaku ranks?
I think it's a make or break. Personally, I think he's been so hot and cold. Like we said, we've seen him kind of like do these great things, and then we've seen him also fall down. I think that this is kind of like the big one. So it's like, to me, it's like either he steps up and goes to the next rank, or this will be kind of like the beginning of a downward slide. That's kind of how I feel. Which it sounds a little negative, but I think it's kind of true. I think it's like I see him like this is the highest rank he's been at in a long time. Well, ever, you said, actually, right?
Yeah, he's
And
been M1 once before.
yeah, so like this is it. So it's like I'm sure he's been training like crazy. Like, let's see it. And I obviously have high hopes and high expectations for him, but I think this is going to kind of be the make or break one for him, in my opinion.
Okay. I think it's make or break in a different way in the sense of so he's 31 years old, and that's when it
Mm,
comes to just about any sport. Uh, that's like the age where you're kind of at your peak physically and athletically. So I really think if it doesn't happen in the next Basho or two, it's going to be hard because you have also these other young guys who are going to be coming up, and
a lot of them.
Ura has usually done well against some of the the younger lower ranked fighters. He's always really struggled against the higher ranked fighters. So being M1, he's going to fight all the Sanyaku guys. If he comes out of that with a winning record or even a 4-4, 4-5 record, but he's able to win out against anyone lower ranked than him, and he finishes 9-6 or 10-5, then yeah, I definitely think he'll bounce up. But again, he's at that peak in terms of age, performance that I really think
Yeah,
if it doesn't happen this boss show, then in early next year when Toronto Fuji is going to be healthy,
yeah,
and other some of these other young guns are going to be coming back up as well. Hakuoho ideally will be back next Bosch. He was in Jurio, but another
right.
one of these young guys who's going to be coming up and fighting. So some of these other young guys are looking to make space, and Ura kind of has to, like you said, make or break, do it now. So we'll see. We'll see what
Yeah, I
happens.
know it, but it's true. But see, but then the X factor to me then is like you got these guys like Akoto Fuji, who's also 31 years old. Um, Similar thing, but then it's like he had this crazy run. Like the
Mm-hmm.
last battle, not as much, but the one before that, he almost won the entire thing. He was in a playoff, and so it's like I completely agree with you, and like age plays a huge factor in this sport as it does in any sport, but you get these guys who have these kind of like late career resurgences, and so I hope to see it for Ura, obviously on a very very deeply personal level. But
Yeah, and hope the Fuji will
we'll
be
see.
Komusubi West in this Basho. So
I
we'll
am
see how
looking
he
forward to
does. Should
seeing
be
that.
good.
I think it's going to be an exciting one.
I agree. I think it'll definitely be good.
Well, I would define my final statement is that I want to establish. So we said we're not doing a full blown fantasy. We're doing kind of a mini fantasy, and we
Yeah.
talked about a prize at the end. So who we got to figure out what this prize is going to be. This is very very important.
So I was thinking, I mean, for the prize, I was thinking like at the end of next year, like we would do a whole season of fantasy, and then the end of the season
Mm.
would be huge. But for this boss show, yeah, we can do something. Would you have in mind?
I mean, to me, the obvious choice is potentially having to buy a special bottle of liquid for the person
Yeah,
who wins. I think that's the loser has to buy something fancy for the winner.
yeah, that sounds good to me.
All right, I'm in on that.
It's on.
Well, yeah, it is on.
All right, man. Well, that's all we got, folks. Thanks for tuning in. If you made it this far, again, if you're one of our 6 loyal followers or viewers, we appreciate
We
it.
love you,
Yeah, thank you very much. Just two guys talking about sumo. So,
and we
uh,
will be back after we're gonna do one midway through this next boss show. Obviously, a 14-day tournament, so we're going to try to do one about halfway through the tournament to kind of see where we're at in terms of where all the wrestlers are. So we will be back then.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Take care. Have a good one. See you, Pat.
Bye.